Fab Four didn't show up yesterday. I got to be honest, before we even get into the Met stuff, now I didn't play into this Fab Four talk. Right, we were talking about, like, to me, it was the big three. And I don't even like that, because the big three, who was the original big three? I know the Yankees' core four.
I think the big three was LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. I remember that. I think that's the first time I really heard it.
I think you're right. Maybe it predates that, but I think you're right. That was the big three formed in Miami. And then ever since then, it was Durant and Harden and Kyrie. Whatever. There's been very different variations of the big three.
Brunson, Cat.
But for me, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who's the third?
OG?
Yeah. Bridges one night.
Yeah.
So, to me, it was just about the big three guys in that lineup, Soto, Alonso, Lindor, but Cohen used the term Fab Four. And I got to be honest with you, I was not familiar that the Beatles were dubbed the Fab Four. Like, when I first heard it, I was thinking Michigan as well. I know they were making fun of Evan for that on the morning show.
I didn't hear that part. I heard the morning show today with C-Mac and Jerry, but I missed this part.
So, when you heard Fab Four, do you immediately think Beatles?
I think Michigan, but it's Fab Five in Michigan. With C-Web and those guys.
Right, but when I heard it, I think Michigan, and I was like, oh, wait a second, that was the Fab Five at Michigan.
I think maybe more Fantastic Four, the old comic superhero stuff.
So I do not think Fab Four Beatles. Anyway, that was a thing. Point is, none of them showed up in yesterday's doubleheader. We were on the air for game one of that, and I do have a major issue with Juan Soto not hustling on. I know he beat it out. I have a major issue with that after watching it again, to a point where if I'm Lindor, like, enough's enough to me, and I'm not trying to pick on Juan Soto. This is, please, like, I know what's going to happen. Digital and Sal Rip Soto, please spare me, okay? I'm not into the clickbait stuff on this one. Certainly not. Not really ever, but at least this one. No, this is, if I'm Lindor, and he's the leader of this team, and I see that from, similar to what we saw from Jake Taylor going to Billy Dorn's house.
Yeah, it's great.
Hey,
that was great when his wife was there. Yeah, that was great.
If you ever pull a stunt like that again, I'll cut off your, shove them down.
Yeah, good reference. That's a good scene.
If I'm Lindor and you're a real leader, that's what I do to Soto.
That's not going to happen. Not like that.
Oh, I know it's not BT, and I'm not saying it has to happen verbatim with that. Although I wouldn't be opposed to it. But somebody, maybe Mendy.
Oh, that's where I was going.
Okay, well, if it's not Lindor, then maybe somebody needs to go to Soto and say, hey, because now this is me saying this. I gave him a pass for the one in Boston. I gave him a pass for the one against the Yankees. You did not.
No.
I did. So now, I like that one yesterday to me is inexcusable. Now, he made it, which makes it easier, because either Lindor, who's the leader of the team, or Mendy can go to him and say, you made it? Don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again. You're getting paid a lot of money here. I'm not saying you got to bust it out of the box and run like Nimmo every single time. You've got to hustle. And he did not hustle on that play. He pulled up. Like, he wasn't even running. No. If you were running hard throughout, fine. Not saying you got to be blazing speed or try to beat it out. Run down the first baseline. Inexcusable not to. Somebody needs to send the message, because that can't happen. It didn't hurt them yesterday. Their offense, their pathetic lack of offense hurt them in both those games yesterday, but that to me would be inexcusable.
See, but you say it didn't hurt them yesterday, and I know what you mean, but I still think it hurts them downstream. I mean, there's a lot of young kids on this team who are impressionable, who are in the early stages of careers, whether Vientos stays or goes, Beatty stays or goes, Acuna stays or goes, Alvarez gets back, stays or goes. You just don't see leaders and grinders doing that. You know, David, I know the documentary's coming out on David Wright. David Wright with a bad back didn't do that. Derek Jeter never did that. You will never see Aaron Judge do that. Even when Judge is 37 and diminished, he's just not going to do that. The problem, though, is we can identify what needs to change, but I'm going to spare everybody the waste of time. It's not going to change. I'm going to tell you why. When you're in a new situation, generally, most people, whether it's a new radio station, a new baseball team, a new law firm, whatever, a new team, anything in life, no matter how old you are, your first inclination, it's human nature, is to try to impress upon everybody that you're diligent, that you're talented, that you're worthy of being here. And we all know he's incredibly talented and worthy of being there.
And I do think he works hard.
I do, too. At his craft, certain aspects of his craft, I agree with that. But the fact that he's doing this now when he just got here and there's a honeymoon period, To me, that's just telling me that down the road, now he's going to hit for the Met fan, but down the road, there's going to be a consistent issue for the Met fan. Take that one to the bank.
Which is why Mendoza's got to nip it in the bud. And I think that the issue is that he hit a number to second and he was mad at himself.
Yeah, that was totally it.
So then, Juan, you have two ways to handle this. A, stop hitting numbers. B, if you do, run to first base. That's it. There are only two ways to solve this. You don't like having a run out a number to second, then stop hitting a number to second with guys on base. Easy fix. And if you do hit one, because not everybody's perfect, the least you could do is run to first base. That's it. Now, I didn't have an issue with Mendoza. I know Mendoza was getting ripped yesterday for the Peterson decision. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem is Stanek. Stanek is not very good, so the Mets need high leverage on him.
But the manager's got to know that. Yeah, and he went to him willingly. He stayed with Peterson.
What, and pitch a complete game again?
They threw it, yeah.
Oh, come on. He gave up a base hit. You start him in the 8th inning.
It was a five-hopper the other way. It wasn't squared up with a bullet.
You start him in the 8th inning. You can't.
Come on,
he gave up a base hit. What are you going to do? You're going to push him, and then it would be, Mendoza stuck with Peterson.
It's the All-Star break coming up. I know he's now an All-Star, and that was good for him. But, yes, 100% he should have stayed with him.
I did not have a major issue with that. And it's also not the reason they lost the game. They lost the game because when we were here in the first inning,
they couldn't hit.
That's it. So that's why they lost game one specifically. And then you could even say the same thing in game two. You have a bullpen game that we're not set up to win. Now, I'm not going nuts about the losses because even though you don't like losing series, especially to the team that you're better than, they'll be better now. Starting with tonight with Senga back, Minaya coming back this weekend, they're going to add in the bullpen. So the Mets held their head above water getting to the All-Star break this through. Now, assuming they don't get swept here, but even with that, like they survived against the Brewers and the Yankees. They won a game against Baltimore, go win the series, all is forgotten here, get to the All-Star break and build off of that. But it was an ugly day, and to me, mostly because of that quote-unquote Fab Four that was nowhere to be found.
Well, as I said, coming off the Brewers and the Yankees for sure, they did definitely stabilize their season, and not that it's been destabilized. I'm not saying that here, but, yesterday's a bad look for the Mets here. The Orioles stink, okay? Now, a couple things we got to get into. You touched on Soto. I agree. Unacceptable for any new. If when Cat's not in great shape or loafing up and down the court, or Soto's doing it, or other Yankees, we get on them. That's the bare minimum expectation. We pay a lot of money. We invest a lot of time. Run. Just give us effort. Nothing else needs to be said. That's self-explanatory. The offense. This is why they need a bat. The Mets scored 4 runs in 18 innings yesterday. Their top 4 hitters who are supposed and have been carrying the mail, quite frankly, to be fair. But when they don't hit, they don't do anything. And that's a problem. So the top 4 hitters for the Mets yesterday were 5 for 27. They lost 3-1 the first game. They were 2 for 14 with 5 strikeouts. They lose 7-3 the second game. They were 3 for 13 with a couple of whiffs in game 2. Now, it's not that I'm going nuts on it, getting swept to a bad Orioles team in mid-July. No, that's even though it's not a great look, but that's fine. It's a long season. We get that. But this, to me, is emblematic of what ails the Mets the most. And every time you and I get into this, and I got to see if these guys are healthy and the new pitchers, and if they're not, well, maybe you need the arm, and you definitely need the bullpen arm. I'm going to say this until the cows either come home or take a nap. If people don't think the Mets need a real bat, you are nuts.
You see, I disagree with that.
But when the top 4 don't hit, they don't do anything.
Okay, so bring in one bat. You think he's going to make a difference?
He may have yesterday. You lost 3-1.
If they don't hit, the Mets aren't going to win. It's those three guys.
If nobody hits, you're not going to win. But you've got to increase the chances.
They have 3 superstar bats.
Who did nothing yesterday and they lost.
Oh, okay. But that's what happens. When Aaron Judge doesn't hit, generally the Yankees lose.
Judge didn't do much last night. Yanks won. I agree with that. I know what you mean about Judge, but that's one of my problems with the Yankees.
Understood. It's one game. The Mets' big 3
It's not one game. They're hitting 209 with runners in scoring position. 21st in baseball. It's horrendous.
Those big 3 have to hit. If they don't, the season's over.
You don't think they need another bat?
No, I'm saying that.
A big bat.
I'm saying that I don't think that that's going to solve the issues. If those guys don't hit, they won't win.
Okay.
So I don't care which bat. Who's the biggest bat you could bring in? So Eugenio Suarez? Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. If you bring him in and Alonso and Soto and Lindor don't produce, they're not winning anyway.
Unless Suarez hits a 3-run home run, then you might win. And by the way, first he's a home run hitter, so he might. And with these pitchers coming back, it might be a 2-run homer or a 2-run double. Now, Vientos started to swing the bat a little bit better. I know he struck out on 3 pitches. One, I think that was game 2. But he came in for Winker, hit a couple on the screws, and maybe that's a good sign, all right? But to me, and again, this has really been my point about the Mets for a while. Like, and I know that this applies to other teams too, but if their top 3 or 4 don't hit, they don't score. And to me, that is a recipe to lose in the wild card. Forget about the NLCS. Now, you very well might get in the first series, Lindor hits, 412, Soto hits 3 bombs, 9 RBIs. That's totally possible because those guys are studs. But baseball, it ain't basketball. You know Brunson's pumping in 30. You don't know Lindor's going to have a great series. You just like Judge. You don't know if he's going to have. Matter of fact, he really hasn't had many. He's had more bad than good. So to me, I'm just trying to increase the odds of giving my offense a chance to win. And if the first 4 guys don't hit, if I bring somebody else that can, and now you got Buxton with a hand injury, who knows how long he's going to be down. He's hurt. I don't think the Mets offense is good enough, and I've said this from day one.
Yeah, I just believe in those big 3, and they will go as those guys go, regardless of who the acquisition is. Now, do I trust Nimmo to be consistent? I don't. He can be the 4th piece of that. I do trust Lindor. I 100% trust Soto, and I 100% trust Pete Alonso. And if they don't get it done, they're going to lose because of that. Like, I don't think there's a move to be made that can change that or enhance that. Lengthen out the lineup, maybe get a professional bat in center. By the way, I would not go after Cedric Mullins after watching him these 3 games. Like, he's not enough of a difference maker. He's an upgrade. He's a proven vet. He's not enough of a difference maker to me. Now, again, I don't think they need a superstar, but I need some type of impact bat to help you at the bottom of the order or in center field specifically. And he just, to me, there's not enough of an upgrade there over Tyrone Taylor or even Jeff McNeil in center field.
Okay, we got to get back to something that we disagree on, and we got to have a little conversation about your manager, who suddenly is looking very lost. Mendoza has had 2 bad weeks. Now, specific to yesterday, if Peterson was a low-pitch guy, I'd say, you know what, Sal, you're right. In May of his 5 starts, all right, 3, he went over 100 pitches. June 11th, 106, July, 103. You got a double header. You know you're going to use arms all day. Now, if he starts and he gives up a rocket that goes 470 and it's flat, all right, he's at a manageable number. You start the 8th inning. I know you give up a single. It was fairly soft, and you pull it. So to me, there was 2 mistakes. Number 1, Peterson's 5 times better than Stanek, who if Stanek is anywhere near an important situation in the playoffs, leave the stadium because the Mets are not winning that game. He's awful, all right? And he's got to be relegated to, long release. Stinks. Number 2, this was an awful look for Mendoza. When you bring in the righty, you're saying, hey, Gunner, grab your bat. You're inviting a lefty who's not having a great season, to be fair, but is an incredibly talented young player, as we know. We wish that was Volpe, really. What happens? Bang, 2-run jack. So you willingly take out somebody who's so much better than Stanek and is a lefty that would have kept Gunner on the bench or neutralized his ability to do what he did. I don't know where else to. There were 3 mistakes made in 30 seconds.
Well, but they don't have a high leverage arm that they could use.
They had one on the mound. You should have stayed with Peterson.
Yeah, but to me, that's just for me. It's a second guess. I have no issue with that. Well, think about what we're talking about now. Complaining about taking a pitcher out in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
It's 2025.
When you lose the game, it's okay to go back and say maybe it was the wrong move.
No, see, to me, that's where we fundamentally disagree. It shouldn't be about the result. Just because the result wasn't the right one does not mean it's the wrong move. So now we're all going to be, hey, push the pitcher. Because you lost and it didn't work out, every starting pitcher that's better than the bullpen arm, because they are, every starting pitcher should be better than every bullpen arm outside of 1 or 2 in your pen. And the Mets right now have 1, Edwin Diaz, that would be better than the majority of their starters, if not all of them. Every other one is going to be less than. Reed Garrett, Brazoban, you name it, they're worse than the starter, especially David Peterson. That doesn't mean that Peterson's going to be effective in the 8th or 9th inning. You just can't do it. And it can't always be about, it's also a doubleheader there. He maybe had his map of who he wanted in game 1.
Well, you got to deal with the map. I mean, don't tell me about the lanes and the maps. You got to react to what's in front of you.
But they had a bullpen game in game 2.
I know what they had, which is more reason to keep Peterson out there.
Yeah, well, he was trying to go with his higher leverage. Right now,
leverage. The guy's ERA is 6 for the last 5 weeks.
Right now, Stanek is one of their higher leverage guys. I don't trust him, but Stanek has been the guy. One of the guys.
But that doesn't make it right. How do you let this guy off the hook?
Who are they supposed to pitch?
Peterson.
He's not going to pitch the whole game.
I know, but Sal, give him another batter for crying out loud.
He gave up a hit. So if he gives
up a 5-hopper.
If he gets another batter and then gives up a hit, then what do you do?
Then it might be a different evaluation.
Oh, okay, so now we're talking about 1 batter. So
but at least there's more evidence to support the move to pull them out.
He tried to get out in front of it, saying, you know what?
And he was wrong.
Okay, but just because the
results he's had a bad 2 weeks.
I disagree.
I don't disagree. He's messed up with Peterson alone twice. I mean, so all the times you told
How's
me,
he messed up with Peterson?
you've told me a million times, hey, and I like Mendoza, but a little bit of the shine is off the rock all of a sudden. Like, he has made some mistakes the last couple of weeks with the pitching. And one of the things you told me was, unlike Boone, he's a gut guy. Yeah. Well, the gut's not working out the way it once did.
Okay, who are the options that they have in the staff right now?
I'm going to say it again. Peterson.
No. You're talking about the last couple of weeks. Have you? I'm assuming you're aware of their roster situation.
Very aware, and which is why I know that Static's ERA is awful.
And he's still one of their better options.
And he decided to go to him.
He's one of their better options.
He's not a better option than Peterson.
What about the other 2 weeks? And you're going based just off of the results.
No, that's
not. You don't
know what I'm thinking in real time.
No, you just said that.
No, but I'm saying that's what he's thinking. You don't know what I'm thinking. Listen. The thing with the Mets, they're not whole. So I'm not going nuts on this here.
So how is it the manager's fault when every arm that they go to in the bullpen sucks?
Because if you've got a chance to avoid going to one of those arms, I would do it.
Okay, so Peterson should have thrown 100-plus pitches.
Well, why not? He's done it before.
Yeah, okay.
He's done it before. I just gave you the numbers. He's done it.
What were you saying yesterday? You were worried about Peterson because
I was, but that doesn't mean he didn't throw a gem.
Okay, so he was pitching a gem yesterday.
He took him out in the 8th inning.
They took him out in the 8th inning. He didn't take him out in the 6th. Or the 7th, it was the 8th inning.
But Sal, he did not have a laborious 7th inning. If he threw a 27-pitch 7th inning, I'm like, all right, the residue. And that's what they look at.
He's got a bullpen game.
He was clean sailing, man.
He's got a bullpen game coming up after that. Going into the Yankees series 1 week ago, I thought the Mets were going to be destroyed because they have no pitching. They had 3 games against the Yankees, one of which was started by an actual starter. How do you survive that? Not to mention that the rest of their bullpen, so not only their rotation, their bullpen is depleted.
That's why we gave him credit for beating the Yankees twice.
I'm going to give you some names. Chris Davinsky, Alex Carrillo.
Horrendous.
Rico Garcia.
Dude, the names
Justin
are a joke.
Hageman, Richard Lovelady, Ryan Stanek, Brandon Waddell. This is the Mets bullpen right now. No, but every which way you turn, it's not good enough. Like this is their staff right now. This is their staff. I mean, that is just not good enough.
I agree with that. But I know you know what I'm saying, but I think you're still missing it. I know the bullpen stinks, which is why I'm going to be fair to Mendoza in totality. Like that's Stearns' job.
Stanek, Garrett, and Brazovan are 3 of their best arms.
They're arsonists at this point. They're bringing matches and gas cans to the fight. They all stink right now. So if you have a chance to avoid that, all I'm saying, Sal, is you avoid it. Now, it was okay when he threw 106 pitches on July 3rd. It was okay when he threw 103 pitches back on May 15th. I've got every game log in front of me. Mm-hmm. I went back and I made sure that I looked over this to make sure that I'm not being unfair. If this is not a Clark Schmidt situation, which you and I both agreed upon. You don't push because he was never going to finish the 8th, let alone the 9th, to try to get that stupid no-hitter, which some people, they disagreed. Oh, I want to see history. Now he's hurt anyway, but not at the risk of an irresponsible pitch count. Peterson was not David Peterson football. David Peterson was not in the middle, nor was he at the end of a reckless situation. He was fully in command. He was fully in charge. The options suck behind him, and not only do they stink as pitchers, but you invited one of the young studs in baseball to get off the bench, and what did he do? Bang, 2-run shot. Yeah, and you don't blame the manager on that?
No, I don't.
You're nuts with this.
I blame the pitcher for giving up. Stanek has been one of the better relievers that they've had.
Not in the last 6 weeks, Al.
No, the last several times out, he's been okay. And overall, they're not very good. Stanek has been one of the more reliable arms. He is the more trusted arm right now in the bullpen. Outside of Diaz, that's it. Stanek, Garrett, Brazovan would be the 3 high-leverage guys. And they're just not good enough. I don't know. So you needed Peterson to finish the game. He wasn't going to finish the game. And if he didn't and the Mets didn't hit, like, who's more of a culprit for the game yesterday? Mendoza?
The hitting.
Okay.
No, I said that, though. Yeah. That's why I ran through the nuts.
Okay,
that's why they need a bat.
So now,
to me, there's multiple issues from yesterday, not just one.
If he stuck with Peterson, which, by the way, he let Peterson start the 8th inning, which in today's day and age, for a manager to let a starting pitcher start the 8th inning, the majority of those guys would be fired from the data-driven front office for having a starting pitcher start the 8th inning. That's a fact in today's game.
I don't know if it's a fact when you're in your mid-80s. Like, if you're like 97, yeah. I understand the
don't want to see the guys
baseball.
A 3rd or 4th time through. Okay, so
I get it. I applaud him for that.
He let him start the 8th inning.
Then he got tight.
He gave up a base hit.
Wow. Did he? It was like 5-hopper the other way.
All right, whatever. A guy
he barely got around on it.
A guy on. If anything, I think you can make a better case for starting.
Was that Cowser? I think that was Colton Cowser, right?
If anything, I think you can make a case for starting the inning clean with the reliever. But he wanted to push Peterson, see as far as he could go. If he got the first out, maybe he's going to get another one. I didn't hear the post game afterward. If he said it was a predetermined plan going into that inning, like it was gonna. I think he said it was going to take it batter for batter, batter by batter, and his gut, whatever he went with it, it was wrong. I mean, that's what managers do.
So I'm trying to think of the Yankees equivalent to Peterson. Maybe let's say Schmidt before he gets hurt. Something like that, right? If the game is where it was with Peterson yesterday, and Boone pulls Schmidt for a stiff, and not even to mention the whole lefty-righty. I mean, that's just baseball 101. I don't know how he's not getting crushed for that. Like, that is, and I like Mendy. That's stupid.
Yeah, you could crush him.
That is stupid. But, like, if Boone did that, and Gunnar Henderson did a 2-run bomb off Loizaga, who's trashed right now, I'd be saying the same thing. I'd be like, what are you doing? Let him eat.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
guess
all I'm saying.
I would not. I'd be saying the same thing the other way. He took him out of the game. I mean, I can't kill Mendoza for having his starting pitcher start the 8th inning, give him a base hit. Okay, see if Stanek get the job done. It's not his fault Stanek sucks and can't get an out and gives up a gopher ball right away. That's not Mendy's fault.
That's on Stearns, which is a different conversation. Stearns got to get some. He better wake up.
What do you mean Stearns?
You got to get some pitches in here, man. Oh,
they
my
will.
God.
Yeah. I know, I get it. BT and Sal on the Fan, 888-808-1019.